My husband said something today, and I can't stop replaying it in my head. It was such a normal moment. No argument, no tension building up beforehand. We were sitting together in the living room, not doing anything special. He was scrolling on his phone. I was half watching something on TV, half thinking about the day. I don't even remember what started the conversation. It drifted naturally, the way conversations do when you've been married long enough to not plan them. At some point, I said something small, almost careless, something about the future, nothing dramatic. And that's when he looked up. Not startled, not annoyed, just thoughtful. He said it calmly. No emphasis, no hesitation, just one sentence. And when he said it, my body reacted before my mind did. That quiet tightening in the chest, that pause where you don't respond right away because you're not sure how you feel yet. I smiled, nodded, let the conversation move on. But inside, something shifted. Not fear, something softer than that. Uncertainty. I kept replaying his words later, not because they were harsh, not because they were unkind, but because they were honest. And honesty can feel heavier than anger sometimes. I tried to remember the exact tone he used. Was he serious? Was he joking? Was he just thinking out loud? I told myself not to read into it, but that's never how it works. Because when someone you love says something unexpected, your mind fills in the gaps. I didn't ask him to explain. I didn't want to make it bigger than it was. But my thoughts didn't stop. I wondered if he'd been feeling this way for a while, if I'd missed signs, if I'd been too comfortable, assuming we were always on the same page. I hate that part of me, the part that quietly checks for cracks even when everything looks fine. But I also know it comes from caring, from wanting to understand, not accuse. That evening felt slightly different. Not cold, just quieter. We cooked dinner together, talked about small things, daily things. Nothing felt wrong, and that somehow made it harder. Because when there's no obvious problem, you don't know what to fix. You just sit with the feeling. Later that night, we were getting ready for bed. I was standing in front of the mirror, taking my hair down. He came up behind me, didn't say anything, just rested his chin lightly on my shoulder. For a moment, we stayed like that. Then he said something else. Soft, unplanned. Something he didn't need to say. Something that explained more than the sentence from earlier ever could. And suddenly, everything made sense. I realized then how easy it is to hear only part of what someone is saying. To grab onto one sentence and ignore the 1,000 quiet actions around it. Sometimes people speak their thoughts out loud before they fully shaped them. Sometimes they don't know how their words will land. And sometimes love doesn't clarify itself immediately. It waits. I didn't tell him how much that moment meant. I didn't explain the spiral his earlier words had sent me into. I just stayed there. And I wondered, how many misunderstandings begin not with something said wrong, but with something unfinished?